Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to the patch notes breakdown for Wild Rift patch 5.2D. This is the final small patch of the 5.2 cycle before we get into patch 5.3, which is just a few weeks away now. So going to be some big changes and also some new champions coming, which is going to be extremely exciting. If you do want to watch the short version of these patch notes, you can head on over to my YouTube shorts where I go over all the changes in under 60 seconds. But before you do that, I will be running a giveaway on this video. All you need to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the changes of this patch, and let me know what you think is going to be happening in patch 5.3. I'd love to hear all of your guys' comments. Right, let's get into the patch notes for 5.2D. We have the events, which all these events I'm pretty sure are already out. The interesting thing about this patch actually is this was supposed to come out last week, but I think they delayed it by 1 week. So like normally we have a patch notes when a new champion comes out, but we didn't this time. It's like Milio's arrival is already in the game. Wild Pass Sprint, I'm pretty sure, is already in the game. And also the rotating game modes are also already in the game. So these events are already in the game. Yeah, happy days. KAYLE, we finally get the KAYLE rework. A lot of people have been waiting for this for quite some time. I have to say, some of these changes are okay, but I'm not too sure if it's going to be enough to still make KAYLE a viable champion. It's definitely going to make her stronger than what she already is, but I'm not too sure if they're going to make her stronger. Champion level for Ascension. So this is basically when you get your different forms. The problem right now with KAYLE is that it just takes too long to get to level 15, which is kind of your final form and where you really spike with KAYLE. Big thing now is that you get your third Ascension at level 9 and you get your final Ascension now at level 13, which is 2 levels previous to before. So that's a pretty big change. Getting your final Ascension at level 13 now instead of level 15 definitely is about probably 5 or 10 minutes difference. I would say that you're able to get your final Ascension, which is really, really nice. I really like this change. I think it's extremely good. The first ability, the armor magic resist reduction, is going up by 5%. This is going to help you deal more damage with your auto attacks and your abilities. And also the damage, the base damage is going up by 10 at every single rank, with the bonus AD and the ability power both staying the same. The second ability, the healing, also going up by 10 base at every single rank and also going up by 10% of your ability power. So I think that the AP build for KAYLE is definitely going to be a lot more viable than the AD version. I know a lot of people still like to run the AD version, but still it's not really that viable now. It was viable before, but I think with so many of these abilities scaling so well with so much of your ability power, I think that's definitely going to be a way to go. They are kind of nerfing KAYLE in the jungle though. With the third ability now only dealing 60% of the damage to monsters. So you're going to be dealing as much damage to monsters now with your third ability. However, your auto attacks will still be fine, plus your first ability. So you still should be okay when clearing through the jungle, but this will definitely hurt quite a bit. And the ultimate, there are some adjustments. So the channeling time of Divine Judgment, is shortened from 1.5 seconds to 0 seconds. So that means that you can actually use all your abilities and everything like that now, which I think is the big difference now with KAYLE. Is when you use your ultimate, you can use your abilities and auto attack whilst in your ultimate and whilst being untargetable and not being able to take any damage. And the time of blade falling is prolonged from 1.5 to 2.5 seconds. So you do have to wait a bit more time for the blades to come down and deal a bit of damage. However, you do get to use your abilities and everything in between. So this is really going to make KAYLE use her ultimate on herself a lot more, where she's going to get that invulnerability, but also she can still use her abilities. Again, if you use your ultimate on your allies, you'll still be able to use abilities and use everything else as well. So really big change to KAYLE. This is going to mean that she's going to scale a lot quicker. She's going to be able to deal more damage now with her ultimate. And like I said, I think she's going to be in a pretty good spot. I don't think she's going to be crazy good, but I think she's going to be a bit better than what she is now. Obviously, it depends on the testing and what happens in the actual game itself when we get the patch tomorrow. Lulu nerfs, I mean, we're going to be seeing Lulu and Yumi nerfs. I think this is mainly also because of Ardent as well. They kind of, in my opinion, made a mistake with Ardent, giving so much power over to an AD carry and having these enchanter supports have access to Ardent Sensor now is just absolutely insanely broken. Like, you get so much, you give so much extra stats in terms of on-hit damage, you give so much attack speed now to your AD carry that these enchanter supports are performing incredibly well. You know, Janna's performing well, Soraka is also performing well. They all just build Ardent. They can also go like Redemption to help with their mana now, so this is going to help enchanter supports a lot. So they are nerfing a few of the enchanter supports. The damage on the passive for Lulu is going down by 1.5. Plus 1.5 per level as well, so this is going to mean that you're not going to be able to do as much damage now with your passive. And also the wild growth ultimate going up by 15 seconds at maximum rank, which is pretty big. 60 seconds now on wild growth is definitely a long time. Obviously this doesn't take into account any ability haste that you might be building, which there is a lot that you're going to be building. Ardent Sensor now gives more ability haste. You're going to build other support items as well that are also going to give ability haste. So this is going to go down. This is not going to be 60 seconds, but still a 15-second difference to what it was before is definitely going to be a pretty big nerf for Lulu. Yuumi, which in my opinion, Yuumi didn't even feel that strong in the first place, is getting absolutely gutted, like completely gutted in my opinion. Base attack damage is going down by 8. I don't know why they're doing this. I mean, I guess Yuumi was just doing too much in terms of her auto attacks, because the thing is now with Lulu is that she doesn't actually want to be on top of her allies as much now, because you don't get the passive as much. When you kind of jump out, you auto attack and you jump back in, so you kind of want to stay out more. So maybe the trading was just too strong with Yuumi. That could be the case. The passive, the shield value is going down by 15 base and also by 10% ability power, which is absolutely crazy. The movement speed now on your third ability also going down by 0.02%, which is basically nearly half of what it was before. And also the attack speed. Look at this. Attack speed going down by 10% at every single rank. This might gut Yuumi completely. Like I said, I don't think Yuumi was that strong in the first place, to be honest with you. I think that you can really take advantage of Yuumi in the laning phase. Obviously, she is pretty annoying if you go on like a really fed jungler, like I know, Xin Zhao, a Lee Sin, a Hecarim, someone like that. But honestly, I think she was pretty reasonable to deal with, and there were better enchanters than her that can actually, you know, help out her team, help out their team a lot more. But now Yuumi with these nerfs, definitely in my opinion, is going to be a lot weaker than what she was before. These set buffs are pretty scary. Base AD in the early game going up by 4, sorry, I was going to say 10. Going up by 4, which is again pretty scary. I think the set in the early game was already pretty powerful. And also the second ability as well. You can see the base damage of the second ability going up by 10 at every single rank. And now also scaling more with your bonus attack damage. And then the upper limit of the grit stack is now more percentage of your maximum health, which is when you get more grit stacks, which is underneath your health bar. You can see the grit stacks going up. Once it gets into the upper limit, it now scales more with maximum health, which again is quite nice. The build still with set is probably to still go somewhere like Heart Steel with Black Cleaver and also Titanic Hydra, where you get tanky, but you also get a lot of AD at the same time. Thanks to obviously Titanic Hydra, you still get that passive and you still get a nice amount of damage. But again, as I mentioned, 4 AD in the early game might not seem that much, but it's definitely going to help him a lot, especially because he has these quick auto attacks that he can do with his first ability as well. Syndra buffs just in time for the Star Guardian skin. Who would have thought? Base health going up, sorry, by 8, sorry, at every level, which is really nice. Makes Syndra a lot tankier if you think about it. 8 health per level, you're going to be getting like 80 extra HP at level 10, which might not seem like a lot, but again, for these kind of squishy AP mages, it's definitely going to make a huge difference for her, in my opinion. Your passive, you gain splinters when upgrading abilities, has gone from 2 up to 4. So you can gain 60 splinters now in total upon level 15, which again is going to help you with just your damage output overall. And the ultimate, damage from each dark sphere, so damage of each sphere that is on the ground, that has gone up at later spheres. So this now means that with Syndra, you want to make sure you at least have 3 spheres on the floor, just to make sure that you can deal as much damage as possible with your ultimate, which is going to be really important. Got to make a big difference with the players that maybe are not as good as Syndra and the players that are actually pretty good with Syndra. The total maximum damage again has gone up as well, making sure that you can do a bit more damage now with your ultimate at rank 3. Actually, I don't know why I said 3 spheres. It's just damage from each dark sphere. So it's just your level 3 version of your ultimate is just going to do more damage now with each dark sphere. I don't know, for some reason in my head, I was like 60, 110, 160. I was like, oh, that's every dark sphere that you have on the ground. No, it's just per level. So it's just going to deal more damage with every dark sphere, basically. And also total maximum damage going up as well. So you can deal more damage with your ultimate. Explosive damage upon taken down after Transcendent. I didn't even know it explodes upon takedown as well. So that's pretty nice. More explosive damage. Again, this is really trying to buff the late game scaling of Syndra. I think Syndra early game, definitely they're going to buff it quite a bit with the health per level, but also Syndra is a pretty safe mage to play in the mid lane because she can just use her dark spheres at range, just keep farming at range and keep poking. But her late game scaling, maybe not as strong. So they're buffing a lot in terms of her late game scaling with her ultimate, which I think is going to help her quite a bit. This, in my opinion, is probably, I would say probably the worst change of this patch. I have no reason why they are buffing Ornn. Honestly, I think Ornn is in a completely fine spot. I think Ornn tanks so much damage, has so much crowd control, also deals enough damage as well. Like, they're buffing his base AD, which is extremely scary because I don't know who's going to be able to come up against Ornn now in the laning phase, because you have your base AD going up. You also have your second ability going up as well, which, yes, minimum damage to minions might not mean too much, but being able to deal more attack damage now, and now your second ability, obviously with your passive, being able to proc your second ability, breathe the fire, then auto attack afterwards. That auto attack is now going to deal more damage. Damage under fragile status is also going up depending on your maximum health, and the first ability is also going up, and it's going up by 10 base damage at every single rank. So that means that you'll now be able to just use your first ability, clear the wave, be able to push it with your second ability as well, because most of the time you're going to be maxing your second ability, especially because now your minimum damage on your second ability has gone up. So this plus your first ability, you can just clear the wave, try and roam, but also you can use this just to poke enemy champions as well now. Like, I don't know what they're thinking with this. I honestly think this is the craziest change they've probably done for quite some time. I personally don't agree with this. I think that Ornn was already in the fine spot. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be even stronger. Also, look out for support Ornn as well. This might buff support Ornn quite a bit as well. Dealing more damage with support Ornn is going to mean that his trading power in the early game is going to be a lot more powerful. Ravenous Hydra, yeah, this enchant has just not hit the spot, honestly. Like, this enchant has been absolutely terrible, in my opinion. Ravenous Hydra is a popular enchantment, but we're finding its stats not as... I'm pretty sure it's not a popular enchantment. I've not seen a single soul build this enchantment. We're increasing damage and health restoration, while it's increasing its cooldown slightly to balance it out. So what are they doing? So dealing adaptive damage. So now it's 140% of your attack damage, which is quite nice. And also it restores 60% of the damage dealt. Okay, that's pretty big. So it heals double the amount. It now does more damage. So now you're going to get like... I can't think of the amount that you get, but I mean, the healing is going to go up by quite a bit, but now it's on a 10-second cooldown instead of a 6-second cooldown. Will this make a difference? Maybe. I highly doubt it, to be honest with you. I just think that there are just so many more enchants that just have more of an impact. Do you think of like stasis for keeping yourself alive, protobelt for movement speed, goggle stone plate for the extra tankiness? Like, the reason why Ravenous Hydra is not that strong is because the healing of Ravenous Hydra is not as much as the shield with Goggle Stoneplate. And the thing with Goggle Stoneplate is you can use that at any time, and you can get the shield at any time of your HP. Ravenous Hydra, you need to make sure you're low on health, and then you get the restore of HP back. So you're risking yourself going low on HP and taking some damage, and then making sure that you can use Ravenous Hydra afterwards. Maybe now with the extra damage, you can actually use this as a damage source. We'll have to wait and see. ARAM changes. I'm not really too bothered about any of this. I don't really play that much ARAM. Okay, now we're into probably a very controversial change. You lot can read it on screen now. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. This is okay. So this is in testing. I'll read the bottom part first. This is experimental change we are making to help players who perform well in their games, even if the game results in a game loss. As you experience Galio Guardian, please share your thoughts with us, and as we constantly looking to improve your rank in experience. There are some upsides and there are some downsides to this. Let's go through it. So Galio's Guardian, it's a limited time. It's just in beta. They're probably going to test this for 3 weeks for the end of the season, and then they'll decide whether they keep it in patch 5.3 and season 15. So players that lose a match will not lose ranking if they achieve an S rating. So at the moment in the current game, a lot of people are complaining at the moment with matchmaking and everything, saying that if you have a low KDA and if you have a high KDA and if you perform well in games, you are not getting rewarded by the game by having good teammates. The game is trying to balance it out, meaning that if you have a high KDA and if you perform well in games, you are going to get weaker teammates because the game is trying to balance out the MMR and the matchmaking and all of the stats and everything. So now they're making it, if you perform well in a game and if you perform well enough in a game that you get an S rating, you are not going to lose that rank. Now, S rating is not easy to achieve, especially when you're losing a game as well. S level rating, I mean, I was looking through my match history and I saw that like I had a couple of games where I was S rating, but I was going like 15-1. I think there was one game I played with Varus that you might have seen on stream. I went like 15-1. I lost the game. I was playing like Varus mid lane. And I got S rate in that game. Now you do get a little bit of bonus rank fortitude because they call it like outstanding performance, but it's never enough. It's never enough. Like them losses feel absolutely shit. So being able to have a loss prevention now when you get an S rating, if you lose a game, can definitely help out. I think that it can help out the issue right now that people are feeling. If they perform worse in the games they lose, they get better teammates. This makes it now so players are going to look to try and play better and try and actually perform well, even in them losses, to try and get them S ratings. As you can see, the S level rating compensation takes the presence over the events and the rank loss shields. So you won't lose the rank loss shields if you get an S rating. So if you get an S rating, you'll get the loss and you'll still keep the rank loss shield as well. Then, if you get an A rating, players that lose a match will be compensated for 50% of their current rank shield value if they achieve an A rating. I'm not 100% sure what this means. I think it means that you get 50% more value towards your rank fortitude. I think that's what this means. I'm not 100% sure. This doesn't make clear sense to me. Yeah, I have to wait and see. There are a few conditions to meet. Silver rank or above, match duration is greater than 600 minutes and no negative behavior during a match. So now let's talk about the downside of things with this. I think the upside, as I mentioned, is going to mean that players are going to look to try and perform well, even in the losses, to try and achieve this S rating. And if you achieve an S rating, then happy days, you don't actually get that loss. The downside of this, okay, the downside I was talking to some people about is that this might make inflation more prominent, but at the same time, I don't think it's very easy for people to get an S rating when they're losing if they are also playing bad as well. Because at the moment, you're seeing a lot of inflation with players that are not performing very well, but they're climbing ranks because of rank fortitude, because of the rank loss shield, etc, etc. This is another thing on top of that to prevent you from losing, but you have to make sure you achieve an S rating, which again, as I mentioned, it's not that easy. Also, another downside is that this is going to mean that players are going to be very KDA heavy and they're going to focus a lot on making sure that they get more resources for themselves, which means that we might have a scenario where we're going to be seeing top laners stay in top lane because they want to get towers, they want to get as much gold as possible, because the more gold you get, the more possibility you have of getting an S rating. Also, they might not want to join team fights because if they join team fights, hey, I'm going to die. If I keep maybe my 0 deaths, then hey, I might get that S level rating. The game's already over. There's no point in me joining the fight. I might as well try and get resources for myself, try and get more gold, try and get a solo kill on a side lane, and then try and get an S rating so then I get the loss prevention anyway. That, in my opinion, is the downside. I think at the end of the day, they're trying something. It seems like they just have no fix to matchmaking, which is very unfortunate, because obviously the big problem is the matchmaking with how many things go wrong with obviously what you're performing, etc. At the end of the day, we don't know how this is going to perform. We'll have to wait until it obviously comes out, which is going to be tomorrow. But the big thing is, I think a lot of people might be negative about this, but I think the big thing is like they're trying something. They're not just leaving it as it is. They're not just leaving us all to rust. They're trying something and they're testing something to see if it's going to help matchmaking, if it's going to help players perform better. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's my little rant about that anyway. Again, I would love to know your opinions on these changes, because I think this is probably the biggest rank change we have had for quite some time, really, to be honest with you, because we have not had a lot of changes to the rank system and just changes in general to matchmaking. So I'm glad they're doing something. It's interesting that they're doing this kind of beta testing, which means that they don't want to throw something into the water if players don't agree with it. So it's nice they're doing a beta change at the end of the season, which, to be fair, not a lot of people care about rank climbs. And then they're going to get feedback probably from people like myself and other creators, and maybe other people from online and also Reddit, because I know that some writers also read Reddit. And then they're going to see if they're going to add it in for sure, like for definite for patch 5.3. Like I said, I think this could be good. I think this is good for players that perform really well. Like, it really sucks if you got like 15-0 or 15-1 in one game and you still lose because you can't make an impact. Because at the end of the day, it is a team game. So yeah, S rating not as common. A rating might be a bit more common, and you might get some more rank fortitude. Then we also have the skins, as I mentioned, the Star Guardian Syndra, of course, with the release of the buff to the Syndra, with Star Guardian Syndra, Prestige Star Guardian Syndra, Star Guardian KAYLE, which is a incredible skin, and Star Nemesis Fiddlesticks. And that's everything. Just a little small patch to end things off. I mean, I say a little patch, is probably the biggest patch we've had for rank changes in quite some time, but in terms of champion changes, not too much. I think there are going to be some champions here that are definitely going to be performing a lot better, like the KAYLE set and also Syndra. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I appreciate you all. Thank you all for tuning in to this video. Again, as I mentioned, if you do want to enter the giveaway, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts of these changes to patch 5.2D. And until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.